Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something truly fascinating, almost audacious, really. The urban experiment that is Dubai. Just imagine a city that basically built itself into this global superpower, almost overnight, it feels like. A gleaming metropolis just conjured from desert sands in only a few decades.
Yeah, the speed is just breathtaking.
Totally. You see these towering skyscrapers piercing the clouds, these futuristic visions that honestly seem ripped straight from a sci-fi movie. Dubai just projects this image of, well, limitless ambition, unparalleled speed and development.
It really does.
But what's truly happening underneath all that incredible ambition and glass, that's the question, right? Is it this unshakable blueprint for our urban future, or maybe something far more fragile?
Well, what's truly fascinating here, I think, is that Dubai isn't just a city. It's more like a grand hypothesis being tested in real time.
Hypothesis. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, its development model, I mean, it's undeniably a masterclass in global branding, in state-led economic diversification, no question. But, and this is the key thing, it's predicated on these profound, maybe even potentially irreconcilable contradictions.
Okay. So what are we trying to do today? What's our mission with this deep dive?
Well, our mission today is really to connect the dots. Connect the dots between its proclaimed green ambitions and its, frankly, resource-intensive reality, between its utopian image and its deeply stratified social structure.
Right.
And, between its futuristic vision and its vulnerability to these timeless environmental, even geopolitical forces. It's an incredibly complex picture.
Definitely.
And understanding it, I think, offers really crucial insights into 21st century urbanism more broadly.
That's a powerful way to frame it. So to really dive deep into this oasis of glass, as you called it, we've gathered a stack of pretty compelling sources.
Yeah.
We've pulled everything from, official government agendas outlining their audacious plans, to more critical analyses, research papers that give a more nuanced, sometimes challenging perspective.
A necessary balance.
Exactly. This blend lets us get well-informed pretty quickly, exploring that central paradox you mentioned. Is Dubai truly this blueprint for future urbanism, or, like you said, a spectacular but ultimately fragile mirage? Let's get started.
Okay, so what immediately jumps out, at least for me, from our sources, is how Dubai recognized its core challenge really early on.
Right, the oil thing.
Exactly. Unlike some of its oil-rich neighbors, Dubai knew its oil wouldn't last forever. So they kind of decided to leapfrog, didn't they? From being this traditional trading society straight into a knowledge-based service economy. They called it a post-oil imperative.
Yeah, that imperative framing is key.
How did that realization actually shape their strategy?
Well, look, it was fundamentally a necessity. It wasn't really a choice. Dubai's oil reserves were always, quite modest, especially if you compare them to neighbors like Abu Dhabi.
Right. They've been diminishing for years. So this reality, it forced a proactive post-oil mindset, much earlier than you saw in many other hydrocarbon-dependent economies in the region.
So they didn't just spend the oil money, they invested it.
And precisely. Rather than just consuming its finite oil wealth, Dubai strategically invested it into infrastructure, into attracting talent, into fostering new economic activities. The aim was to solidify its traditional role as this hub for trade and services, but with a modern, future-focused twist, diversifying way before the pressure really, really mounted.
And the culmination of this forward-thinking strategy is something called the Dubai Economic Agenda, or D33, unveiled January 4th, 2023. And it's way more than just a policy paper, isn't it? It's like a comprehensive master plan, a blueprint for the next decade.
Absolutely.
With this explicit goal: double Dubai's economy by 2033. And, get this, cement its position among the top 3 global cities for investment, work, and life. That's incredibly ambitious, considering where they started just a few decades ago.
It is audacious, absolutely. And the quantitative targets within the D33 agenda, they really highlight that scale of ambition.
Like what specifically?
Well, for instance, Dubai aims to increase its foreign trade, that's goods and services, from roughly 14.2 trillion AED, which is about, 3.8 trillion US dollars, to a staggering 25.6 trillion AED by 2033.
25.6 trillion.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't just incremental growth we're talking about. It's an exponential expansion in global economic interconnectedness. Just to put that in perspective, the sheer volume of goods and services flowing through Dubai would be comparable to the entire GDP of a major European economy.
That's mind-boggling, and that's just trade. What about foreign direct investment, FDI?
Yeah, FDI is another huge target. They're aiming for a cumulative 650 billion AED in total FDI by 2033,
650 billion.
which averages out to around 60 billion AED annually.
Yeah.
Compare that to the average of about 32 billion AED annually in the preceding decade.
So nearly doubling their annual FDI intake.
Exactly. That's massive by any global standard. And the plan doesn't stop there. It outlines a target of 700 billion AED in government expenditures over the period, and an even more ambitious 1 trillion AED in private sector investments by 2033.
$1 trillion from the private sector.
Plus, digital transformation, they expect that to contribute 100 billion AED annually to the economy. Look, these aren't just numbers on a page. They signify this profound commitment to embedding Dubai as this indispensable global node for trade, for investment, for innovation.
Making themselves essential.
Totally. It's about making Dubai an absolutely indispensable part of global business, attracting capital and talent on a scale few cities have even attempted.
So how do they plan to achieve these truly astronomical numbers? What are the specific initiatives? What's the nuts and bolts driving this?
Well, the D33 strategy details several key initiatives. One significant component is launching these future economic corridors 2033,
Okay.
specifically targeting increased trade and collaboration with, burgeoning economies in Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia.
So looking beyond the usual suspects.
Precisely. It demonstrates a clear geographical expansion strategy, moving beyond traditional trade partners. It's a deliberate effort to diversify and secure new growth engines. They also plan to aggressively expand their foreign trade map by adding 400 new cities to their network.
400 new cities.
Yeah, which is a substantial undertaking in global outreach. It requires massive investment in diplomatic ties, logistical infrastructure, everything.
That's an incredibly broad global approach, but it's not just about attracting external business, is it? I got the sense there's also a big push for homegrown innovation, for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, that's a crucial shift. Beyond just hosting foreign giants, the D33 agenda signals this strategic move towards cultivating a really robust domestic innovation ecosystem.
Okay, how?
Well, key programs are designed to scale 30 local companies into global unicorns. Startups valued over $1 billion within new economic sectors. Think AI, fintech, advanced manufacturing.
So creating their own success stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It speaks to a desire for local champions, not just, foreign tenants renting space. Additionally, they aim to identify and support 400 high-potential SMEs, small and medium enterprises, for global expansion.
Helping them go international.
And this is complemented by initiatives like Sandbox Dubai, which basically provides a regulatory and technological platform for testing and commercializing new technologies in a real-world environment.
Like a testing ground.
Exactly. It's all about creating an environment where future global leaders can actually emerge from within Dubai itself, positioning the emirate as a major innovation hub.
Yeah.
Maybe aspiring to be like a Silicon Valley or a Singapore in the region.
That's a powerful economic blueprint. But okay, what about the people who actually live there, specifically the Emirati citizens? What's the plan to make sure they are direct beneficiaries of all this massive projected prosperity?
Yeah, that brings us to the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
The Dubai Social Agenda 33,
Right, the social agenda.
which runs parallel to the economic plan. This is a comprehensive 208 billion AED plan focused squarely on the Emirati community. It's a core pillar of the state's vision, explicitly designed to ensure that the fruits of globalization are systematically directed toward its citizens, creating a strong social safety net, creating opportunities.
So it's about ensuring the local population directly benefits from all this growth, all this global integration, almost like a reimagined social contract for the 21st century.
Precisely.
What are some of its specific goals? How tangible is it?
Oh, the goals are quite explicit and tangible. The agenda aims to triple the number of Emiratis working in the private sector.
Okay, that's interesting, addressing that public versus private sector tendency.
Exactly. Tackling a long-standing challenge where citizens have historically favored public sector roles. Another significant promise, and this one is really remarkable in its scope,
Yeah.
is to provide a land plot and a loan for every new Emirati family within a year of their application.
Every family within a year.
A very tangible, direct benefit from the state that effectively guarantees housing and financial support. The ultimate aim: position Dubai among the world's top 3 cities for standard of living.
top 3 globally for standard of living. That's wow.
It's a highly ambitious quality of life target, encompassing everything from housing and income to leisure and public services.
And it goes beyond just the material benefits, right? It seemed to focus on societal well-being too, like cultural preservation amid all this rapid change.
Yes, absolutely. The social engineering aspects extend to ambitious targets in public services. The plan aims for a top 10 global ranking in both healthy life expectancy and education quality.
Top 10 in health and education.
Yeah, indicating a deep commitment to fundamental human development alongside the economic prosperity. And the agenda explicitly seeks to foster happy, cohesive, and tolerant families connected to their national identity.
So holding on to their culture.
It demonstrates a clear focus on social stability and cultural preservation amidst this rapid globalization. It's a deliberate effort to balance immense external change with internal cohesion, ensuring that despite the city's incredibly cosmopolitan nature, its Emirati roots remain strong.
That's fascinating. So, okay, we have this outward-facing economic push and this inward-facing social plan. How do these two agendas actually interact? Is there a deliberate strategy behind this dual approach, or do they just happen to run in parallel?
Oh no, it's definitely deliberate. When we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes really clear these aren't independent strategies at all. They're two sides of a single, highly sophisticated, dual-track statecraft, as some of our sources describe it.
Dual-track statecraft. Okay, explain that.
Well, the economic plan is outward-facing, right? Meticulously engineered to attract global capital, talent, corporations to fuel the growth engine.
Right, bring the money and brains in.
Conversely, the social plan is inward-facing, meticulously designed to ensure the local Emirati population are the primary systemic beneficiaries of this global integration, thereby securing social stability and, crucially, the political legitimacy of the ruling establishment.
Yeah.
It's a remarkably shrewd governance model.
So, hang on, if I'm getting this right. The economic success basically pays for the social welfare programs. And that social welfare then creates the stability needed for more economic success. It's like a self-reinforcing loop, almost perpetual.
Exactly. That's precisely it. The success of the global economic track is what generates the immense wealth required to fund the local social track.
Right.
Lavish social benefits, housing grants, subsidized utilities, high-paying public sector jobs, they're all made possible by the revenue derived from foreign trade, investment, tourism. Simultaneously, the success of the social track, which cultivates a stable, prosperous, and, let's be frank, loyal citizenry, provides the secure and predictable domestic environment that is an absolute prerequisite for attracting the very foreign investment and talent demanded by the economic agenda.
Wow.
It creates this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle, much like a well-oiled machine.
It sounds like a modern take on a much older governance model, but sort of adapted for this hyper-globalized, resource-rich city-state context.
Indeed. You could absolutely see this model, rooted in historical patterns of resource distribution, as a modern incarnation of what political scientists call neo-patrimonialism.
Neo-patrimonialism.
Yeah, what that means basically is that the state leverages the immense revenues generated from global economic activity, the rents of globalization you could call them, and strategically distributes them to its citizens to cultivate strong loyalty and ensure political stability.
Right.
It's a powerful and historically proven method of governance, now adapted for the 21st century global economy. And it enables rapid decision-making, massive project execution.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, yes. This strategic distribution inherently creates a deliberately tiered system of belonging and benefits, which naturally leads to profound long-term questions about the role, the rights, and the potential for social mobility of the vast non-citizen population that actually powers the city's economy day to day.
Majority, in fact.
The vast majority.
Yeah.
And this is a critical tension inherent in the model, one we definitely need to explore further.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. When you think of Dubai, maybe the very first thing that comes to mind, almost like a global shorthand, is its incredible skyline. It's truly unique.
Unmistakable.
And here, architecture isn't just about putting a roof over your head, is it? It feels like the primary instrument of global branding, of market positioning. The city literally engineers its ambition into concrete and glass, leveraging its skyline as this incredibly powerful marketing asset.
That's spot on. You have to understand, each iconic megastructure in Dubai is a carefully crafted statement. It's designed to project a specific narrative to a global audience.
They're symbols, not just buildings.
Exactly. They're symbols of capability, of aspiration, and importantly, a deliberate counter-narrative to maybe more traditional or sometimes negative perceptions of the region.
Okay, give us some examples, the big ones.
Well, you have to start with the Burj Khalifa, 828 meters. More than just the world's tallest building, right?
For sure.
It's the structure that unequivocally put Dubai on the world stage. It symbolizes this audacious conquest of natural limits through engineering prowess, through sheer will. I mean, it rests on 192 piles driven 50 meters into the desert floor.
Wow.
A testament to overcoming supposedly impossible conditions. It's a global icon of ambition, instantly recognizable, completely synonymous with Dubai.
And what about the Burj Al Arab, the sail hotel?
Ah, the Burj Al Arab. Standing on its own artificial island, 321 meters high, shaped like a Dow sail. It became a global shorthand for ultimate luxury, even before it was finished.
Right, the seven-star hotel myth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the interior, 1,790 square meters of 24-karat gold, a ceiling with 21,000 Swarovski crystals. It was designed to be incomparably opulent.
It's just over the top.
Completely. It cemented Dubai's reputation as the destination for the world's elite. A place where luxury isn't just offered, it's redefined, showcased as this massive spectacle.
And more recently, there's the Museum of the Future. That building is stunning.
Isn't it? And again, it's not just a museum, it's a living, breathing, physical manifestation of Dubai's core brand identity. A city that actively shapes the future rather than just observing it.
Right.
It's unique to royal shape, covered in that beautiful Arabic calligraphy with quotes from the ruler. It's become an instant architectural icon. It literally houses and celebrates the city's forward-looking vision. It blurs the lines between art, technology, governance.
And then there's the Dubai frame, which is almost comically literal.
It really is. At 150 meters tall, it's perhaps the most literal example of architecture as narrative. It explicitly frames views of both old Dubai, the historic neighborhoods, the creek, and the modern skyline of new Dubai.
Looking both ways.
Exactly. It visually symbolizes the city's breathtakingly rapid transformation from, a small fishing village into this futuristic metropolis. It's a deliberate visual metaphor for progress, acknowledging the past while celebrating this dramatic leap into the future.
So it's not just about what they have built, but also what they propose to build. I remember hearing about some really wild concepts. It's like they're designing the next frontier before it even exists. What's the strategy there?
Precisely. Dubai also leverages what you could call speculative urbanism, or maybe the architecture of the audacious. It's a strategic communication tool.
Speculative urbanism, like
Yeah.
proposing crazy stuff just to get attention.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
A prime example is the proposed downtown circle project.
Oh yeah, the giant ring.
A colossal 550-meter tall ring, 3,000 meters circumference, designed to encircle the Burj Khalifa. Now, whether this project is ever actually constructed is almost secondary to its true purpose: branding. By proposing such an audacious, almost science fiction-like concept, the designers generate immense global media attention. It reinforces the narrative that Dubai's ambition is limitless, that it's constantly reimagining the future of urban living. The very proposal itself serves its branding purpose.
Keeping them in the news.
Exactly, keeping Dubai in the global conversation as this hub of radical innovation, making it seem irresistible to the boldest investors, the biggest visionaries.
That's fascinating. So, okay, what does this all mean beyond the obvious marketing? These aren't just pretty buildings, are they? They feel like strategic assets, almost like a geopolitical statement. How does that work?
You're absolutely right to frame it that way. Dubai's megastructures are potent instruments of soft power. Think about it. In a region often characterized in the global imagination by conflict, instability, maybe deep-seated tradition.
Right.
Dubai's relentlessly vertical, futuristic skyline projects a powerful counter-narrative. It screens stability, progress, modernity, and crucially, a secure, welcoming harbor for global capital and talent.
So the buildings are the message.
In large part, yes. The city's most famous landmarks aren't ancient ruins or traditional souks. They're triumphs of 21st century engineering and luxury. This architectural focus aligns perfectly with its economic strategy. Be a world leader in finance, logistics, tourism. The buildings are, in effect, physical advertisements for the city's core business model.
It's a powerful message. It sort of says, look what we can build in a hostile desert. Imagine what we can do for your business. That confidence must resonate.
Oh, absolutely. The very act of constructing these impossibly complex structures in such a challenging desert environment is a profound demonstration of capability, of control. It sends an unambiguous message to international investors, multinational corporations, skilled expats. If we can achieve this feat of engineering here, with all its inherent challenges, we can certainly provide the stable, efficient, world-class infrastructure your business requires and the quality of life you desire. And this creates a self-perpetuating cycle. Iconic architecture attracts tourism and investment, which in turn provides the capital and the impetus for even more audacious projects. This reliance on a spectacle economy, as some call it.
Spectacle economy.
Yeah. It necessitates an ever-escalating series of architectural marvels to maintain global attention, to maintain that perception of unstoppable momentum. It's a constant race to outdo themselves, to stay in the headlines.
So for our listeners, how does this strategy of just pure visible ambition translate into real-world influence and investment? It seems to be working, given the growth figures we discussed earlier, but what's the direct link? How does a building turn into FDI?
Well, it creates this powerful virtuous circle. This visible ambition generates a kind of halo effect. It signals to the world that Dubai is a place where vision is consistently matched by execution, where capital is safe and productive, and where the seemingly impossible is made possible through sheer will and, frankly, resources.
So it lowers perceived risk.
Significantly. This perception dramatically lowers the perceived risk for investors and makes it an intensely attractive destination for top global talent, both of which are absolutely critical for achieving those ambitious D33 agenda goals. The buildings literally embody the confidence and stability that investors crave, making them a tangible promise of future success. It's a strategic gamble on perception, and so far, it seems to have paid off handsomely.
Okay, let's move from the static grandeur of the skyline to the visionary future of movement. Because Dubai's futuristic ambitions, they don't just stop at buildings, they reach into the very way its population moves.
Right, transportation is key.
Yeah, the Dubai Autonomous Transportation Strategy, it's a core component of their future readiness plan, apparently. With the goal of transforming 25%, a quarter of all transportation trips in the Emirate to autonomous modes by 2030.
25% by 2030.
That sounds incredibly aggressive for just, 6 years from now?
It is. It's extremely ambitious. And this initiative, it isn't just framed as, some technological novelty. It's presented as a strategic economic and environmental policy.
Okay, so what are the claimed benefits?
Well, the projected benefits are pretty substantial, at least on paper. An estimated 22 billion AED in annual economic revenues. That's through increased productivity from less congestion, growth of new sectors like AV manufacturing, servicing.
Right.
Plus, they project a 44% reduction in transportation costs for people and businesses, and a significant 12% decrease in environmental pollution from vehicle emissions.
So efficiency and sustainability goals tighten.
Exactly. At least that's the official line. Designed to make the city even more attractive for residents and businesses.
And the absolute crown jewel of this strategy, the one that really captures the imagination, makes you feel like you're stepping into, Blade Runner or something.
Flying cars.
The aerial taxi project. They're planning to launch the world's first commercial urban aerial taxi service in the first quarter of 2026. This sounds like a classic first mover initiative for Dubai, doesn't it? But how close is this to being, a practical reality?
It absolutely is a classic first mover move. It's designed specifically to reinforce that pioneering image. And look, this project is intended to be a global demonstration of Dubai's leadership in pioneering next-gen urban solutions, maybe more so than just solving traffic for the masses right now.
So it's a statement piece.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And it's a sophisticated public-private partnership, bringing together global leaders in the field. The aircraft themselves, the eVTOL's electric vertical takeoff and landing there, being developed by Joby Aviation, leading U.S. company.
Okay, Joby. Heard of them.
Yeah. The network of vertiports, the specialized takeoff and landing hubs, they'll be designed, built, and operated by Skyports Infrastructure, a UK firm. And crucially, Dubai's Roads and Transport Authority, the RTA, they provide the regulatory framework, ensure the service is integrated into the city's wider transport network, air traffic control, passenger experience, all of that.
So it's not just a pipe dream. It's a meticulously planned operation with major international players involved.
Definitely moving forward.
And the efficiency gains they're talking about are pretty dramatic, right? It sounds like it could genuinely revolutionize short-distance travel within the city, at least for some people.
Oh, significantly so, for certain routes anyway. The service promises, for example, a journey from Dubai International Airport, DXB, to the Palm Jumeirah in just 12 minutes by air.
12 minutes compared to
45 minutes, maybe more, by car in typical traffic. So you can immediately see the appeal for certain segments of the population, people who prioritize time savings above all else.
Business travelers, tourists.
Exactly. The Joby Aviation S4 prototype, for instance, it's an eVTOL with 6 rotors, max speed of 322 kilometers per hour, range of 161 kilometers, carries 4 passengers plus a pilot. It's built for rapid, point-to-point travel, bypassing ground congestion entirely.
So, okay, it sounds incredibly efficient, futuristic. But is this really about getting people around faster, or is there a bigger strategic play at work here? Is this truly about mass transit for the average resident, or is it more of a high-visibility innovation project serving as a strategic asset for the city's brand?
That's a critically important question, and I think the answer leans heavily towards the latter. While the aerial taxi project is certainly presented as a solution to urban congestion, its immediate strategic value lies less in mass transit and much, much more in its unparalleled power as a marketing and branding vehicle.
The wow factor.
Totally. It is the ultimate physical manifestation of the City of the Future narrative. It's a spectacle designed to be seen, filmed, shared across the globe. The official discourse, you'll notice, repeatedly emphasizes that Dubai is set to become the first city in the world to launch such a network.
They love being first.
They place a huge premium on that pioneering status. This isn't just about transportation, it's fundamentally about global positioning and perception.
And I noticed, you mentioned this earlier, the prototype is prominently displayed in the Museum of the Future. That's not accidental, is it? That's a direct connection.
Oh, absolutely not accidental. Its prominent display directly links the project to the state's official future-shaping institutions. It embeds it within Dubai's core brand identity as this hub for cutting-edge innovation.
Right.
Moreover, look at where the initial vertiports are planned. DXB Airport, downtown Dubai, Palm Jumeirah, Dubai Marina.
High-profile locations.
Exactly. High-profile, high-value locations. This immediately suggests a premium niche service, likely catering to business travelers, high-end tourists, maybe wealthy residents. Not a widespread solution for the average commuter, at least not initially.
So not for getting to work for most people.
Probably not. This focus indicates that the project's immediate return on investment is measured more in media value, in enhanced global brand perception, than in sheer passenger volume or actually alleviating daily traffic jams for everyone.
So this is what you'd call performative innovation. Innovation designed primarily to perform a branding function, demonstrating capability, generating a perception that attracts specific kinds of investment and talent.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. By investing heavily in a highly visible, technologically advanced, undeniably futuristic project, Dubai generates this global perception of being on the absolute cutting edge of urban development.
And that perception is the real goal.
In many ways, yes, because that perception acts as a powerful magnet. It attracts the very tech companies, the innovators, the skilled talent that are absolutely essential to achieving the knowledge-based economic goals of the D33 agenda.
Right, connecting back to D33.
So you have to ask yourself, is the flying taxi primarily a solution to traffic congestion? Or is it a powerful magnet designed to secure Dubai's position as the home of tomorrow's tech unicorns? The evidence, I think, strongly suggests the latter is the more significant, immediate strategic goal.
So for our listeners, how do these futuristic transportation initiatives really play into Dubai's long-term economic and branding goals? What's the ultimate payoff for the city in doing this kind of thing?
Well, it's fundamentally about attracting and retaining top-tier talent and capital in what is an increasingly competitive global economy. Cities everywhere are vying for the best professionals, the most innovative businesses, significant investment.
Standing out from the crowd.
Exactly. By showcasing such audacious projects, Dubai sends this clear signal. It's not only willing, but highly capable of investing in and deploying cutting-edge technology. This signals a pro-innovation, forward-thinking environment. And that can draw in the very individuals and companies needed to diversify its economy away from those traditional revenue streams.
So it elevates their image.
It elevates Dubai from maybe just being seen as a business hub to being seen as a global innovation laboratory, a place where the future is actively being built and tested. And that is a very, very powerful draw for a particular type of global actor, be it a company or an individual.
Okay, moving from the future of mobility to, well, the future of environment, or maybe the control of environment. This next section really highlights Dubai's unique approach to its, let's face it, challenging natural surroundings.
The desert reality.
Right. In the heart of one of the world's hottest and driest cities, Dubai has built a complete self-contained tropical rainforest indoors.
The Green Planet.
The Green Planet, exactly. It's a 4-story glass biodome. Houses over 3,000 species of exotic plants, animals, free-flying birds, all thriving in this meticulously engineered, climate-controlled environment. It almost defies logic, doesn't it?
It really is a marvel of engineering.
Wow.
And it serves both as a major tourist attraction and, quite uniquely, as an educational living classroom. But you're right, sustaining this artificial Eden requires a colossal technological effort.
How do they do it?
Advanced mechanical engineering and plumbing MEP systems, they work constantly, 247, to maintain the internal climate at a consistent 70% humidity and a temperature range of 25 to 28 degrees Celsius.
Which is tropical.
Exactly. A stark contrast to the scorching heat outside, which can easily top 45 degrees Celsius in summer.
Wow.
And the dome's central feature is this 25-meter-tall artificial tree, which is actually the world's largest life-sustaining artificial tree. It forms the core of this manufactured ecosystem. It's a complete bioengineered world under glass.
That's incredible. And this isn't just an isolated tourist gimmick, is it? This philosophy, this idea of creating artificial climate-controlled environments, it seems to be woven pretty deeply into Dubai's urban fabric. Is it becoming like an urban blueprint for the whole city, a way to just defy its natural constraints?
It certainly appears so. I mean, the most famous example beyond the Green Planet is probably Ski Dubai, right?
Right, skiing in the desert.
An indoor ski resort inside the Mall of the Emirates that maintains a constant temperature between -1 and 2 degrees Celsius, complete with 5 slopes, a chairlift, even resident penguins.
Penguins.
But this thinking extends to more practical applications too, like the Emirates hydroponics farm, using climate-controlled greenhouses to grow crops efficiently in the desert, significantly reducing water usage compared to traditional agriculture. So these aren't just one-off novelties. They really do reflect a pervasive mindset.
And I remember hearing about an even more ambitious vision years ago, like a whole city under a dome, the original Mall of the World concept.
Indeed. That was perhaps the ultimate expression of this concept. The original plan for the Mall of the World was announced as a fully climate-controlled, glass-domed city covering 4.5 square kilometers, essentially an entire self-contained urban environment.
A whole domed city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, while that specific project has since been redesigned without the all-encompassing dome, the sheer scale and audacity of that initial vision reveals the fundamental thinking within Dubai's planning circles. It underscores this profound willingness, maybe even a determination, to completely reshape the environment to suit their urban ambitions, rather than adapting to nature.
It's like they're saying, if we can't beat the desert, we'll just build a bubble around it. This philosophy of the dome, engineering an entirely new reality, it's really something else. It sounds like a total reimagining of what urban living even means.
And these climate-controlled projects are far more than just isolated attractions. They are, as you say, a physical manifestation of Dubai's core development philosophy. If the natural environment presents a constraint, you engineer a new artificial reality to overcome it.
Technology solves all.
They represent this profound belief in the, well, seemingly boundless power of capital, energy, and technology to conquer any natural limitation. The Green Planet isn't just a building, it is a microcosm of Dubai itself, a testament to this deep-seated belief.
So are you suggesting that the entire city, in a way, can be seen as one giant climate-controlled bubble, a kind of macro biodome, if you will, constantly fighting against its natural surroundings?
Exactly. I think that's a very useful way to conceptualize it. The city as a whole can be viewed as a macro biodome. This bubble of air-conditioned towers, cool swimming pools, lush green golf courses, all sustained by an immense and continuous input of energy for cooling and desalinated water for irrigation.
Right.
This manufactured reality is held in this fragile equilibrium against the harsh, unforgiving environment of the Arabian desert. And this philosophy has deep implications for the very definition of sustainability. Well, in the Dubai model, sustainability seems to be reframed. It's not so much about living in harmony with the natural world, or even necessarily reducing resource consumption overall. It's more about having the technological and financial capacity to sustain an artificial world indefinitely, regardless of the external conditions.
Just keep the bubble going no matter the cost.
Essentially, yes.
This raises a really important question then. Is this model of technologically enforced existence truly sustainable in the long term? Or is it merely a more sophisticated, more energy-intensive form of environmental fragility? It sounds like a massive gamble against nature itself.
That is precisely the critical question hanging over the city's future. It challenges the conventional understanding of sustainability, which typically emphasizes ecological balance, resource conservation, reducing consumption.
Right, the usual definition.
Dubai's approach suggests that with enough capital and enough technological prowess, environmental limitations can simply be engineered away. However, this creates a profound dependency on perpetual technological advancement and massive energy inputs, which themselves carry significant environmental consequences, as we'll discuss. It's a very different path from traditional ecological thinking.
And for our listeners, what does this vision of overcoming nature, or maybe dominating nature, mean for the future of urban living globally? Are other cities going to try and replicate this bubble approach, especially as climate change intensifies and makes more places difficult to live in?
Well, it presents a fascinating, albeit quite controversial, potential future for urbanism, especially in challenging climates. On one hand, it showcases humanity's incredible ingenuity, our capacity to adapt to extreme conditions, even creating livable spaces where nature actively resists. It could inspire innovations in closed-loop systems, advanced climate control, resilient infrastructure. But on the other hand, it starkly highlights the immense resource cost and the potential environmental debt that such an approach entails. Other cities might adopt elements, particularly in specific climate-controlled zones or buildings, but the full-scale macro-biodome approach, that raises serious questions about the long-term ecological footprint and, frankly, the financial feasibility for most urban centers that lack Dubai's unique financial resources and specific geopolitical context.
So it's a blueprint maybe only they can afford.
It's certainly a blueprint that comes with a very, very high price tag, both economically and environmentally.
Okay, so let's talk about that price tag. Because all this glittering ambition, all this incredible engineering we've discussed, it comes at a significant cost. And that cost is most clearly seen, perhaps, in its environmental toll.
The other side of the coin.
Dubai's dazzling metropolis is essentially built upon a foundation of immense environmental stress, concentrated in three critical areas, right? Water, energy, and land. It's almost like a constant battle against its own environment.
Indeed. Let's start with water scarcity. That's perhaps the most fundamental challenge in that region.
Right, it's a desert.
Exactly. In an arid region with virtually no renewable freshwater sources, Dubai is completely dependent on energy-intensive seawater desalination to provide water. For its residents, its industries, its sprawling green landscapes, those golf courses, parks,
All need water.
tons of it. And this process carries a heavy environmental cost, primarily through the discharge of hot, hypersaline brine, basically. Water that's twice as salty as the ocean and warmer back into the Persian Gulf.
And what does that do?
Well, this effluent raises sea temperatures locally, increases salinity. It damages fragile marine ecosystems like coral reefs and seagrass beds, which are crucial nurseries for marine life. And ironically, this also makes future desalination efforts even more difficult and costly, as the source water itself becomes increasingly degraded.
So it's a negative feedback loop.
A classic feedback loop of environmental degradation, yes.
And okay, all that air conditioning for the biodomes, the skyscrapers, everything, plus the desalination itself, which is energy intensive. That must mean truly massive energy consumption, right? That has to be a huge part of that footprint.
Oh, absolutely enormous. The city's high standard of living, its rapid growth, its extreme climate, it all necessitates one of the highest per capita energy consumption rates in the world.
Higher than.
Significantly higher than an average resident in many developed Western cities, for instance. And the vast majority of this energy, as you say, is used for those two main purposes: universal air conditioning to cool buildings, both residential and commercial, and desalination to produce its fresh water.
And where does that energy come from?
Historically, and still predominantly from fossil fuels, primarily natural gas. This deep reliance places Dubai in direct contradiction with global efforts to mitigate climate change and transition to cleaner energy sources.
Right. And then there's the land itself. We talked about the artificial islands, Palm Jumeirah, Palm Jebel Ali, the world islands. They're engineering marvels, iconic images of Dubai, sure. But they must have had an enormous environmental footprint, literally reshaping the coastline.
They did. And the impact has been profound and widely studied. These ambitious projects expanded Dubai's coastline by dredging and moving hundreds of millions of cubic meters of sand from the seabed, fundamentally altering the natural marine environment.
What were the consequences?
The ecological consequences have been severe and well documented, including the smothering of vital coral reefs, the destruction of critical marine habitats that support diverse aquatic life, the alteration of natural coastal currents, which can lead to erosion elsewhere along the coast, and the displacement of numerous species. That visual spectacle comes at a very real and often irreversible ecological cost. It's fundamentally changed the biodiversity of that part of the Gulf.
It's a fascinating paradox, though, isn't it? Because Dubai does have these high-profile, sometimes world-leading sustainability initiatives. We hear about them all the time. But they seem to exist within this fundamental contradiction. They're trying to mitigate damage from a development model that just keeps expanding and intensifying. It's almost what you might call a green paradox.
It's a critical point, yes, and one that highlights the very complex nature of their approach to environmentalism. Dubai has indeed launched impressive initiatives like the Dubai Clean Energy Strategy 2050, aiming for 75% of energy from clean sources by 2050. Very ambitious.
Sounds great.
But this exists alongside, as we just discussed, extreme energy consumption, one of the world's highest per capita rates. They've also built the Warsan waste-to-energy plant, reportedly the world's largest, to convert 2 million tons of waste into energy annually. Commendable.
Okay.
Yet they simultaneously face incredibly high waste generation rates, driven by rapid population growth, booming tourism.
So they're building the biggest waste plant, but also generating a huge amount of waste because of the very model they're pursuing.
It sounds like they're running on a treadmill, just trying to keep up.
That's a good analogy, exactly. Similarly, their demand-side management strategy aims to cut water and electricity consumption by 30% by 2030. Great goal. But this contrasts with an intensive water dependency driven by energy-guzzling desalination, which continues to expand to meet ever-growing demand.
Right.
And while the Dubai Can initiative aims to reduce single-use plastic bottle waste, which is positive, the ecological impact of ongoing land reclamation projects continues to devastate marine ecosystems.
So the core activities undermine the green initiatives.
The problem is that the construction of new mega projects, the relentless drive for ever-increasing tourism numbers, the reliance on artificial climate-controlled environments, they inherently increase the baseline of energy and water consumption that these green initiatives are attempting to reduce. It's a constant uphill battle against their own success, where growth often outpaces mitigation efforts. Okay, let's unpack something really serious now, maybe the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Existential threat. All that incredible engineering, all those billions and billions of dollars invested in this coastal city could literally end up underwater. I'm talking about climate change and rising sea levels here. What are the projections saying, and how vulnerable is Dubai in particular to this?
It is indeed an existential threat, perhaps the most profound long-term challenge facing Dubai. As a low-lying coastal city with vast, incredibly expensive infrastructure built largely on artificial reclaimed land, it is exceptionally exposed.
How exposed?
Well, projections are stark. A 1-meter sea level rise, which is a significant but increasingly plausible scenario within the coming decades, under current global emission trajectories, could inundate over 11,155 square kilometers of the UAE's coast.
Wow.
And if we consider more catastrophic, albeit perhaps less immediate, scenarios like a 9-meter rise, which would involve major ice sheet collapse. Almost all of Dubai and Abu Dhabi would be submerged.
Submerged.
The very land upon which the city's iconic identity and trillions of dollars in assets are built is at existential risk. From the global environmental forces that its own high consumption model, ironically, helps to exacerbate. It's a very real race against time.
So given this, is their sustainability effort more about branded sustainability or techno-solutionism? Are they primarily putting on a good show with impressive green projects while the fundamental issues, the drivers of the problem, remain unaddressed at their core?
I think that's a very apt description of the overall approach. The focus is overwhelmingly on high-profile, technologically advanced, often world record-setting projects. Building the largest solar park, the biggest waste-to-energy plant. These generate positive global headlines, reinforce the city's image as an innovator.
Great PR.
Exactly. And while these projects are significant in themselves, they represent a strategy that primarily addresses the symptoms of environmental unsustainability rather than its root causes. They focus on how to produce energy more cleanly, for instance, but not necessarily why the city consumes such a vast amount of energy in the first place.
So it's not about systemic change, not about changing behavior or the growth model itself, but rather finding a tech fix to just keep the current model going. That sounds like a really high-risk wager on technology's ability to solve everything before it's too late.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes pretty clear that the underlying drivers of consumption, relentless urban and economic growth, a tourism model based on luxury and excess, the creation of water-intensive landscapes, the normalization of indoor climate control, these continue to be the central pillars of the economic model.
They aren't changing that.
No. This reveals a fundamental disconnect. The solutions being promoted do not fundamentally challenge the core problem. This strongly suggests sustainability is being framed primarily as a technological and branding challenge, not a systemic or behavioral one. The implicit goal seems to be finding a tech fix, better solar panels, more efficient desalination that will allow the high consumption, high growth model to continue indefinitely, rather than transitioning to a fundamentally lower consumption, perhaps more circular economic model.
Betting the house on tech.
It bets the city's entire future on the hope that technological breakthroughs in clean energy and resource efficiency will consistently outpace both the escalating demands of its perpetual growth and the accelerating impacts of global climate change. It is, quite literally, a high-stakes race against time where the stakes are absolutely existential.
What are the global implications then? When a city, especially one with so much influence and visibility, bets its entire future on technology's ability to outpace environmental degradation. What does that mean for the rest of us, watching from afar?
Well, it really forces us to confront the potential limitations of pure techno-optimism. While technology obviously offers powerful tools for environmental mitigation, Dubai's model highlights that it probably cannot be a substitute for fundamental shifts in consumption patterns and economic growth paradigms.
Tech isn't a magic bullet.
It suggests that if even a city with seemingly limitless capital struggles to reconcile its ambition with environmental reality, then truly sustainable urbanism might require a much more profound re-evaluation of our relationship with nature, with resources. It means moving beyond just building bigger and greener technological solutions, and instead seriously addressing the underlying drivers of demand and consumption. It's a powerful and perhaps, a cautionary tale about the pursuit of unchecked growth in the face of finite planetary resources and accelerating climate impacts.
Okay, let's pivot now to the human element. Because Dubai's social structure is, in its own way, as unique and as engineered as its skyline, and perhaps even more foundational to its success. It's a city defined by its demographics, right? A small minority of Emirati citizens living alongside this vast majority of foreign nationals.
Overwhelmingly foreign nationals, yeah.
Which creates a deeply stratified society, unlike almost any other major global city I can think of.
Indeed. The population is very clearly divided into three distinct tiers, each with vastly different rights, benefits, and opportunities.
Okay, break down the tiers for us.
All right. First, you have the Emirati citizens. They make up roughly, 10-15% of the total population. They are the primary beneficiaries of a very generous social contract, as we discussed earlier. Extensive state support, land grants, subsidized housing, free healthcare, free education, well-paid, secure jobs, often in the public sector. Their welfare and prosperity are explicitly prioritized as part of that Social Agenda 33.
So they're clearly at the top of the pyramid, receiving significant state benefits. Who's next in this social hierarchy?
The second tier consists of high-skilled expatriates, drawn from all around the world, Europe, North America, other parts of Asia, Africa. This group forms the professional, the managerial, the entrepreneurial class.
The expats.
The classic expats, yes. They're attracted by things like tax-free salaries, a high level of safety and security, a comfortable lifestyle, significant career opportunities that maybe aren't available back home. They're absolutely essential for driving that knowledge-based economy, filling crucial roles in finance, tech, consulting, various service industries, often residing in, luxurious compounds, nice apartments.
Okay. And then the largest segment of the population, the one that really powers the city's growth and its daily operations. Often out of sight, maybe, but absolutely vital.
That's the third tier, the low-wage migrant workers. They come predominantly from South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, also Southeast Asia, like the Philippines and parts of Africa. They are, in essence, the engine room of the city's economy.
The engine room.
Providing the strenuous labor for its massive construction projects, as well as staffing its huge service sector, hospitality, domestic work. Their labor is fundamental to everything Dubai builds and operates, from the Burj Khalifa down to the daily maintenance of hotels, restaurants, homes. They are the foundational workforce, enabling the often opulent lifestyle enjoyed by the other tiers.
And this brings us to a really critical and often uncomfortable point, labor rights and the kafala system. This is where that glittering image of Dubai sometimes clashes with a much harsher, often hidden reality for this huge segment of the population, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The legal framework governing the majority of Dubai's workforce, historically and largely still today despite reforms, is the kafala or sponsorship system.
Explain kafala.
It legally ties a migrant worker's residency status directly to their employer, their sponsor, or kafil. Now, while recent reforms have aimed to increase flexibility and protection, for a long time this system created a profound and institutionalized power imbalance that critics like Human Rights Watch and Walk Free argue facilitated abuse and exploitation. And these groups report a persistent gap between the letter of the law, even reformed law, and its actual enforcement on the ground.
Okay, so what are some of the most concerning documented issues faced by these migrant workers under this system, or because of the power imbalance it creates? What have these organizations actually found?
Well, the documented issues paint a stark picture, one that contrasts sharply with Dubai's carefully curated international image. Many workers, for example, are forced to take on substantial debt in their home country, sometimes thousands of dollars, just to pay illegal recruitment fees to agents to secure their jobs.
So they arrive already in debt.
Exactly. Trapping them in a cycle of debt bondage before they even earn their first dirham. Wage theft is another recurring and widespread complaint, particularly reported in the construction sector. This involves delayed payment, underpayment, or sometimes outright non-payment of agreed-upon wages.
And I've heard persistent reports about passport confiscation. That sounds incredibly coercive, severely limiting a worker's freedom and ability to leave if they're in a bad situation.
Yes, despite being officially illegal in the UAE, the practice of employers confiscating workers' passports remains distressingly common, according to rights groups. This severely restricts workers' freedom of movement, it prevents them from easily changing jobs even when legally allowed, and crucially, it limits their ability to leave an abusive employment situation or even the country. Some international organizations have gone so far as to label this practice, when combined with other coercive measures, a form of modern slavery. Beyond that, many workers are housed in overcrowded labor camps, often located on the city's periphery, sometimes lacking consistent access to basic utilities like clean water or reliable electricity.
And working conditions.
In the workplace, particularly on construction sites, they often face extremely long hours and exposure to intense heat, especially during the summer months when temperatures exceed 45 degrees Celsius. Protections, while mandated, are sometimes inadequate or not enforced, leading to significant health risks, heat stroke, and even fatalities.
This is such a stark contrast to the glittering image we usually see of Dubai, isn't it? It genuinely makes you wonder about the true human cost behind all that ambition, all that luxury.
It absolutely does. And while official government channels emphasize the legal protections that do exist, and grievance mechanisms like smart systems for lodging complaints, or the midday work ban during the hottest summer months to prevent heat stroke.
They have those rules.
They do. But critics argue these measures are often insufficient to overcome the systemic vulnerabilities created by the fundamental power imbalance inherent in the employer-employee relationship, especially for low-wage workers. The overwhelming fear of job loss, leading to canceled visas and deportation, often prevents workers from speaking out or formally reporting abuse, leaving them in an incredibly precarious position. The inherent imbalance of power remains a significant practical challenge, making true redress very difficult for many.
And the city's rapid success, ironically, seems to have created its own social strains, even for those who are not necessarily at the bottom rung. We're seeing reports of a severe housing crisis and increased social division. How is that playing out on the ground?
Yes, the very success of Dubai's economic agenda, attracting so many people, has definitely exacerbated existing social inequalities. The constant influx of high-income expatriates and, more recently, waves of tourists and investors has fueled a severe housing crisis.
Rents are soaring.
Yes, exactly. Rental prices in some desirable areas have surged by as much as 25% annually in recent years. This pushes affordable housing further and further out of reach for many middle and lower income residents, including many professionals, forcing them into longer, more difficult commutes, sometimes even from cheaper neighboring emirates.
Creating segregation.
Absolutely. This economic pressure creates a visible spatial and social segregation. The city becomes increasingly divided between these luxurious, often gated communities for the affluent and overcrowded peripheral neighborhoods, or the labor camps for the less privileged. And this stratification extends to essential services too. There's effectively a tiered system for education and healthcare, where access to the highest quality is largely determined by one's ability to pay, further entrenching those social inequalities.
And there seems to be a subtle but persistent cultural tension at play too, doesn't there? Between that cosmopolitan image they project and trying to preserve a national identity.
Correct. That's a constant balancing act. In a city where nationals are, as we said, a small and arguably shrinking minority, just 10-15% of the total population, there's this persistent tension between the need to project a cosmopolitan, Western-friendly image to attract tourism and investment, and the deep-seated desire to preserve a distinct national and cultural identity.
Hard to do both.
It's a delicate balance with inherent friction points. The sheer volume and diversity of cultures, while celebrated officially, can sometimes feel overwhelming to the local population, despite official policies promoting tolerance and coexistence.
So, okay, we've talked about the environmental foundation of Dubai being potentially fragile. What about the social foundation? Is this social pyramid, this tiered structure we've described, sustainable in the long term? Or does it carry its own inherent risks and vulnerabilities?
This raises an important question, perhaps one of the most critical for Dubai's future stability and long-term success. The entire Dubai dream, the opulent lifestyle for its citizens, the tax-free haven for high-skilled expats, the ceaseless construction of architectural marvels, the seamless efficiency of its service economy, it is all built upon, and you could argue directly subsidized by, the precarious, low-cost labor of its vast migrant workforce.
Subsidized by low wages.
The social model isn't just stratified. It is structurally dependent on this stratification for its economic viability. There's a direct causal relationship here, I think it's fair to say. The privileges enjoyed at the top are made possible in large part by the conditions experienced at the bottom. Low wages and limited rights keep construction costs down, keep operational costs in hospitality and services down, making rapid, large-scale development economically feasible and highly profitable.
So without that constant supply of low-cost labor and without the current labor structure that enables it, the whole economic model could be in jeopardy. It sounds like a foundational vulnerability, just like the environmental one.
Precisely. I think it is a foundational vulnerability. This structural dependency creates a profound ethical challenge, but also a significant strategic vulnerability. Ethically, the model is perpetually exposed to credible accusations of systemic exploitation from international human rights groups, damaging its brand.
Right.
Strategically, its long-term stability is contingent on two key external factors, largely outside Dubai's direct control. First, a continued, uninterrupted supply of low-cost labor from sending countries. Second, the continued absence of decisive international pressure from governments, consumers, investors demanding fundamental labor reform.
So what could disrupt that?
Well, any significant disruption to that labor supply. Imagine, for example, sustained economic development in South Asia, raising wage expectations and creating more opportunities at home. Or perhaps policy changes in sending countries like India or the Philippines, restricting outward migration due to concerns about worker welfare. Or even increased global scrutiny and consumer pressure, leading to boycotts or divestment targeting companies operating in the UAE.
Any of those could hit hard.
Any of those could fundamentally threaten the economic calculus at the heart of Dubai's development model. It suggests the city's social foundation may, in its own way, prove to be as fragile as its environmental one, deeply tied to external conditions and global perceptions that can shift rapidly. Hashtag outro.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it feels like we've really unpacked a city that is, on one hand, a masterclass in ambition, truly breathtaking, but also a crucible of profound contradictions.
Contradictions is the word.
We've explored that tension between Dubai's green ambitions and its, frankly, resource-intensive reality, its utopian image versus its deeply stratified social structure, and its futuristic vision against its profound environmental and potentially geopolitical vulnerabilities. It's a land of unparalleled luxury, yes, but built on these incredibly complex and challenging foundations. Foundations that are simultaneously its greatest strengths and perhaps its most significant Achilles heels.
I think that's a fair summary. To recap, Dubai's model possesses undeniable strengths.
Yeah.
You have this visionary, agile, highly centralized, ruler-led governance structure that allows for incredibly rapid decision-making and the swift execution of massive long-term projects. They absolutely get things done. This has resulted in genuinely world-class infrastructure and a proven, almost magnetic ability to attract global capital, corporations, and top talent, positioning the city as a vital hub in the global economy, a crucial node in international trade and finance. No question about that.
But, as we've discussed, these impressive strengths are undeniably counterbalanced by critical vulnerabilities that cast a long shadow over its future.
Absolutely.
Its very existence is predicated on this extreme dependency on energy and water resources it has to generate an immense financial and environmental cost from a naturally hostile environment. Its entire economic and social structure is built upon a precarious labor model that is both ethically questioned and, as you just pointed out, strategically fragile, reliant on factors outside its borders.
Yeah.
And its physical reality, with so much critical infrastructure built on low-lying reclaimed land, makes it acutely vulnerable to the unavoidable and accelerating consequences of climate change and rising sea levels.
So if we zoom out a bit, try to see the big picture. Dubai is ultimately a high-stakes experiment in defying limits, both natural and perhaps social. The metaphor we started with, the Oasis of Glass, feels deeply fitting.
Fragile.
Yeah, an oasis is, by its very nature, a fragile ecosystem, a pocket of life made possible by a hidden and often finite source of water. For decades, Dubai's water source, metaphorically speaking, has been this powerful combination. Finite oil wells to kickstart things, a globalized economic system that facilitated its rise as a hub, and an international community that has, for the most part, tolerated the environmental and social costs associated with its rapid development.
Right.
As these sources, geological resources like oil, the structure of the global economy, political tolerance as these come under increasing pressure in the 21st century, the defining question remains: can this oasis of glass develop the deep, resilient roots of true systemic sustainability? Or will the sands of time and perhaps the rising seas ultimately reclaim it all? Just as our initial query so aptly put it.
It truly leaves you with so much to consider. And for you, the listener, especially if you've been following global development trends, urban challenges, think about this. What elements of Dubai's audacious model might be truly innovative blueprints for the future of urbanism, maybe in other challenging environments? Could parts of it be replicated successfully? And conversely, which of its fundamental challenges, from its extreme resource intensity to its deep social stratification, present critical lessons that other urban centers absolutely must learn from, or perhaps even actively avoid as they chart their own paths forward? It's a profound question, really, about vision, about resources, and ultimately about humanity's evolving relationship with both the natural world and indeed with each other.